You are listening to The Radar, a weather-related podcast hosted by the Valley's #1 meteorologists.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Radar Podcast. This is the weather-themed podcast here at 21 News. We talk about all aspects of weather and other kind of sciencey topics as well. And now that we're getting into the fall season and football season is in full swing, I wanted to touch in this podcast on weather safety, how we stay safe, how organizations keep us safe at sporting events, large and small. Of course, football season tends to bring out the most people, that is for sure. With football season in full swing, our Friday nights so far have been great. We have had very little active weather so far, as of this recording anyway, for Friday night football. The couple of YSU home games so far this year have been pretty uneventful weather-wise, again, as of this recording. But as you know, the atmosphere can always kind of change up, and we can have more and more active weather as we head deeper into the fall season, and certainly as we head towards winter as well. So we want to focus on weather safety and different types of weather and how we forecast those different types of weather and how we stay safe. And we brought in a real nice guest today from YSU. This is Tim Stuart, Senior Associate of Athletics up at Youngstown State. And so, Tim, welcome to the Radar.
Thank you for having me.
All right. First of all, Tim, I wanted to just start out, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you came to this position at YSU, which you've had for a while now, have you?
Yeah, I have. Well, first I want to thank you for having me, and thank WFMJ. So when I was a student about 25 years ago, I worked in our marketing department, and back then we even had a relationship, a partnership with WFMJ. So really fortunate for what you guys do for us, and proud of that partnership. So as I mentioned, 25 years ago, I was at YSU as a student. I'm actually a local guy. I'm from Trumbull County. I live in Cortland. Grew up there, and went to Lakeview. Upon Lakeview, I went and got my business degree here at YSU. And about a year and a half before I graduated, I decided I wasn't sure what I wanted to go and do with my life. So I think it was actually at a football game in the fall. And saw some guys running around doing some marketing and promotion things, during halftime and in between quarters, and I thought that looked pretty neat. So that following Monday, I went down and met some really good people in the athletic department, told them what I was looking to do. They actually had a couple of internships opening up that following year, and interviewed for them, and the rest is kind of history. I went and got my master's degree at Kent State while I continued to do an internship at YSU, and got that in sports administration, and a couple years later I got hired down at YSU. I've had my hands in a little bit of everything from marketing and promotions to tickets. Spent a long time in our facilities area with game management and some facility projects. And then recently, in the last about 3 years, I've been in my new role, and I've had a great time working with a lot of very talented people, a lot of good people, made a lot of friendships, and it's a great place to work, and great university.
Absolutely, and the university is very lucky to have you, that is for sure. And over the last few years, you and I have communicated a little bit when it comes to upcoming weather events and things like that. And as you mentioned, you've had a partnership, and YSU's had a partnership with WFMJ for a while now when it comes to kind of consulting us a little bit when it comes to potential weather hazards. Before we get to football, which is kind of our main topic today, and how we stay safe at Stambaugh Stadium and other outdoor events, are there any types of sports that YSU participates in that are more weather sensitive than others? In other words, the weather can really impact some sports more than others, but maybe run down kind of what that list is.
Yeah, so that's a good question. We've got, a lot of people don't know, we have 21 NCAA sponsored sports, and of those 21, 13 are actually outdoor sports. So as far as weather sensitivity, I mean, they're all affected by weather. Even those sports that compete indoors are affected by weather in terms of travel and getting spectators in and out of campus and all that good stuff. But of those 13 sports that are outdoor, I guess it really just depends on the facility that they're competing in. So, and I guess an example might be if we got a heck of a rain on a Tuesday night and got, let's say we got 3 or 4 inches of rain, something crazy, probably wouldn't impact us a whole lot if we had a soccer game on Wednesday because we have a turf field. It doesn't really matter. But if we had a golf match the next morning, or or maybe a baseball game out at Eastwood Field where our baseball team competes, those things are probably getting canceled. So I guess it's more the facility that they compete in,
Sure.
Practice in, as opposed to the actual sport itself.
And, of course, football is the main draw here at YSU and, well, everywhere pretty much. Sure. And, crowd sizes can vary, but Stambaugh Stadium does hold about 20,000 people. Right. That's the official capacity. And so with a crowd of that size, keeping everyone in the stadium safe is really important. It's really of paramount importance, not only from the weather, but other things that can kind of threaten, if you will, large crowds. But let's walk through the process of kind of how the university consumes weather information in the lead up to a home football game. And again, as of this recording, it's been pretty quiet so far this year, but it's not always going to be that way.
Knock on wood, it's been great. Hopefully it continues. So typically our home football games are on Saturdays, unless we have an opener that might be on a Thursday night. So really that Sunday before the next Saturday, I'm starting to monitor the weather for the next 7 days. Whether that's watching one of your Weather for Weather Geeks or you're just watching you on TV. We'll hop on the National Weather Service site, read through some of the long-term discussions, just to kind of get an idea. Temperature, precipitation. Obviously, 7 days out, a lot can happen. But we're typically that Sunday morning through game time, we're monitoring the weather, and depending on what it looks like, it determines the factor of who we're communicating with. So, if it looks like towards the end of the week, it's a pretty good chance of any type of precipitation. We're getting on the phone with janitorial and grounds and facilities, and just to start that preparation.
So even if it's just rain, doesn't have to be lightning, just rain, that does kind of initiate a sequence of events and kind of people that you have to start getting lined up to take care of that potentially.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even we'll work with our ticket manager who oversees our ushers and our ticket takers. If we know, there's a good chance of rain, unfortunately, a lot of people are probably going to stay home. So, financially, it behooves us to maybe cut back on some staffing or relocate staffing. When it's cold and when it's wet, people want to get upstairs into the loges. Yep. So we might need some extra bodies, some extra eyes on those entrances and things like that.
What about wind? Outside of thunderstorms, just a general windy day.
Yeah.
If a breezy day is going to happen, of course, but say it's going to be really windy. Say we might be expecting 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts, and those things become a little more common as we head deeper into the fall. Does that have really any impact on stadium preparations or any logistics in the lead up to a game or the day of a game?
Probably not too much with our preparation. Probably a little bit more for our football staff and special teams and their offensive game plan, but. As far as us, we'll work with like I said, our facilities crew. They take care of a lot of the outside stuff. So, maybe we're not putting up our great big American flag if we're going to be getting 50 mile per hour wind gusts. But for the most part, it's precipitation that we're concerned with.
And aside from precipitation, lightning is really the number one concern when it comes to weather safety at any outdoor venue, especially a venue that holds a pretty big crowd, of course. And so if the forecast in the lead up to a game, say you start looking at the weather on Sunday, and it looks like, not only is there going to be rain, but maybe there's going to be some lightning as well. How does that really change the equation for the organization, the entire organization, I should say, heading up to a Saturday home game?
So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, I'll continue to monitor on my own. On Wednesday, I'll typically send out some type of correspondence to all of our parties, facilities, grounds, game managers, everybody that's involved with a game day. And if it looks like there's a chance for, whether it's even a minimal or a slight or a marginal risk of severe weather, which would accompany, which lightning would accompany, I'm putting it out there just so it's on their radar, so to speak. And then on Thursday mornings, we'll get that entire group together. We'll go over an entire game day, everything that we have going on, and the weather discussion will be a part of that. We'll go over the policies and procedures that we have in place just to make sure everybody's on the same page. And when, it's been, knock on wood, it's been a few years since we've had to implement anything. Yeah. So it's a good reminder, refresher for everybody. Obviously, we don't want to be doing that on Saturday morning. We want to make sure everybody's on the same page leading up to that.
I was going to mention that actually, knock on wood again, it's been very quiet for the most part on Saturday game days, going back at least a few years. It's hard for me to remember the last time we had a really impactful weather day. for a Saturday home game. So we know that streak is going to end eventually, but so far so good, that is for sure. So let's fast forward to the day of the game. It's a Saturday, might be an early afternoon start, it might be a 6 p.m. start, something like that. Thunderstorms are possible, or perhaps they're even looking likely the day of the game. The day of the game, how does that change the overall atmosphere and preparations, if you will, at the game?
So day of game, again, we'll go over, what our policies are, what our procedures are. We'll really engage our communication staff on how we're going to communicate with our fans. I'll work with our football operations folks as well as the visiting teams operations folks, just to let them know, hey, if X, Y, or Z happens, here's what we're going to do, here's where we're going to go. Lightning, getting teams off the field, getting fans, to their respective safe areas. We kind of our bunker area is our athletic training room. It's kind of a centralized location where we can pull all of our game managers and operation folks and kind of assess the situation and kind of go from there. So.
In professional sports, in amateur sports, collegiate sports, kind of the magic number that a lot of organizations and a lot of teams use as far as a radius around the stadium is about 8 miles. You don't want lightning within 8 miles of the venue. That's a common number, but it's maybe not the number that every single venue uses. Is that kind of what you're looking at a lot of times as well, as kind of that 8 mile number?
So the 8 mile number is actually the NCAA policy,
okay.
So it makes it easy for us because there are varying numbers or varying radiuses. We try not to get to that point. Obviously, if we see storms coming, we want to be preemptive and take care of getting our teams off the field, getting our fans to their safe spaces. So if we see something coming, we don't have to wait until it's in that 8 mile radius. We're going to wait until it takes time to get people to where they need to be.
At YSU, once a lightning delay is triggered, and you mentioned getting people to safety, what exactly does that involve as far as spectators, especially? It's a lot of people. So where do all the people go at Stambaugh Stadium?
Right. So you're familiar with the stadium. It's centrally located between Beagley and the Watts, and the stadium itself has a lot of capacity for fans. So the West Side Sands, which is the big side, we're ushering those folks up to the large concourse area, or underneath the stadium, we've got those 3 auxiliary gyms that can house a ton of people. East side, we're ushering over to the back of Beagley Center or the Watson and Tressel training site.
So storms have come and they're on their way out, and there's no more lightning within that 8 mile radius. What's kind of the process for letting everyone know, hey, it's safe to come back in, we're going to get the game started in X amount of minutes, or whatever the case may be? How do you notify everyone that it's time to kind of get back to normal?
Yep, so we're relying on our communication staff via video board, via social media, text alerts, all those good things. At that point, our radio broadcast is going to be up. So our radio partners are going to be helping us out. We'll wait that 30 minutes after that last strike. There will be some type of reacclimation period to get the kids back out and get warmed up. I'm guessing, if after the last strike, you're probably still a good 45, 55 minutes out from resuming play.
Yeah. It takes a while, and we're an NBC station, of course, here at WFMJ, and on a Sunday night, if there's ever, and the opening night of the NFL season, there was a big long lightning delay on a Thursday night, and as a viewer of the game, or as someone who works at an NBC station, it's late at night and we're just wanting to get our newscasts on the air, those delays seem to take forever, but it's all for safety's sake. It's a lot of people, and lightning is one of those things that is extremely unpredictable. And even as a storm is pushing away, there can still be a bolt that gets way too close to the stadium, and you never want to put anybody in harm's way, that is for sure. And lightning, unfortunately, does lead to fatalities at stadiums and in general other places as well. A lot of people were killed, of course, on the water, boating and fishing and things like that. So lightning is a big problem, and people who aren't killed can be injured severely by lightning. So lightning is by far and away our biggest concern. But as we get later into the season, as the calendar flips towards late October and especially into November, the wintry aspect of things can become something that we start talking about. And If snow is in the forecast for a home game, how does the university deal with that? Do we have snow removal equipment? Say it's really coming down on a Saturday afternoon during the game. What's the situation there as far as dealing with the snow?
Yeah, so in general, a football game day for us, if we have a 2 o'clock kick, our tailgate lots are opening up at 8 a.m. So if snow's in the forecast, we're really hoping that comes early enough overnight that we can address it outside before we even think about inside. We do have specific field clearing equipment. We have a plow that has a rounded bottom, so it's not tearing up the turf. It's probably maybe 12, 13 feet wide, so we're not getting quite 5 yards at a swipe, but we would use that, if we got a couple of inches. Now, if snow's coming down in the middle of a game, everybody's got a shovel or a broom, and we're doing our best to keep at least every 5 yards clear in the hash marks. The hash marks in every 5 yard lines is what the officials want to see. Outside of that, steps in the stadium, sidewalks around the stadium, tailgate lots, because that's a big part of a YSU game day. We really rely on university facilities and grounds to get all their manpower out early and take care of that for our fans.
Absolutely, and as we've mentioned a few times, so far so good this season. It's been a quiet few seasons actually. Let's hope that streak continues
That's
here
right.
in 2025 and beyond, not only for YSU football, but other outdoor sporting events. As you mentioned, there's lots and lots going on at YSU outdoors at all times of the year. This year was extremely wet in the spring and early in the summer. It's been like flipping a switch. We haven't had a drop of rain, it seems like, in weeks, as of this recording. That'll change as well. But even when the weather is not dangerous per se, it can still be impactful and a real nuisance. And we just saw a lot of that back in the spring and the summer. The number of parents that I heard from whose kids' baseball games and softball games and golf and on down the list were impacted by the rain. It was tremendous earlier on this year. So Tim Stuart, thank you for joining us and talking about weather and how we deal with it at YSU and how we stay safe. I learned a lot. There was a lot of things that you mentioned that I wasn't really aware of. I know we help you guys out, but still we have a lot to learn, and our partnership will continue, and we hope to be a helping hand whenever the weather turns impactful. So that'll do it for the Radar podcast here in the month of September. Be sure and check out our latest podcasts, whether it be the Radar, the Vibe, the Out Q, or the Score, wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see you next time here on the Radar. So take care.